What is up, guys? It is Zach Plochet, and in this video, we are going to be building a basic Django blog app and putting it on Heroku. I'm making this video because I haven't seen a lot of good tutorials on how to do this, but I did eventually find all of the bits and pieces and put it all together. So yeah, let's just jump into it. So there's going to be two parts. On one part, we're going to be building the Django app itself. On the other one, where I'm going to show you how to take that normal Django build and put it on Heroku. So there should be, I will put timestamps in the video for your convenience in case you already have your app and you just want to get it there. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my project app or my my project folder. So I'm just going to call this basic blog, something like this. Open with code. Yeah, so I just opened this on with my from my context menu on Windows. If you're on Mac, there's some way to create a folder and just start your project. So I'm going to open up the terminal VS Code. And the first thing I'm going to do is create my virtual environment for this project. So I like to use a package called pipenv. If you don't already have that, you can say pip install pipenv, just like this. I already have it, of course, so that's how you get it. And to create your virtual environment, it's super simple. All you have to do is say pipenv shell, and you will be right inside. So yeah, it's creating that environment, and it's there. So that's cool. We're also going to be using Git for this. So you're going to need to have Git installed on your computer, and we're going to go ahead and create our repository at the beginning. So I'm just going to say Git init right here, and you can't see it, but I did create a .git file. If I say dir/b or sorry, dir/a, we can see it right here. So now that we are inside of our pip file, we're going to pip install Django. So it should be on Django Django 4 right now. So pip install Django. And after this, we're just going to set up our project like normal. So give this just a second and it will be done skis. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get started. Django admin start project. I'm going to call this project config because I already named it basic blog, and this is just building the settings folder. So I put config and then a dot to represent create this config folder in all of our files in this directory. So that's why manage.py is right here, config is right here, and our pip file is right next to that. So yeah, I'm also going to create my blog. So I'm going to say Python manage.py start app blog now. I'm going to build this super quick, so it's just going to be extremely basic. We're just going to say class blog post models.model. It's going to have a title, character field, that's length 255, and a body. So models.text field, that's all. And I'm going to define the string value or whenever Django wants to call it as a string, self.title. All right, cool. So now I built our blog model that we're going to be using. I'm going to go ahead and build our view as well here. So I'm going to create templates, and there's only going to be one page, so I'm just going to call this home.html. Nothing too fancy. We're going to build our view right here. So define home. Let's see. We're going to say from .models import blog post like this. I'm going to get posts equals blog post.objects.all. Context is going to equal posts, pass in the posts, and of course return render request home.html. Oh yeah, I forgot to pass the request here. Boom, and pass in the context. So that's our blog app in a nutshell. We'll also add the admin. So let's do that. From .models import blog post. This is going to add it to our admin section, and we're going to say admin.site.register. Nothing too fancy here, just add it to the admin for us to be able to create blog posts. All right, and that is the blog. Everything else, now let's design the template. So it's only going to be a one-page site. So we'll just say Zach's basic blog. I'm going to say H1 all posts. We're going to create a list of these blog posts. Inside of these, it's going to be an H2 tag. Yeah, we'll just get that nice and tidy. It's going to have boom. So okay, yeah. So this is going to be inside of a for loop. So for post in posts and in for, we want to have the post dot title and the post dot body. So post dot body will be in the p tag, and the other one will be in H2. So yeah, that's about all of the HTML. We can add some. I'm gonna add some slight styling here, just so we can have it. I'll put this inside of a div. Boom. So we're going to do this. We're going to say style border is going to have, we're just going to do a solid black border. So 1 pixel solid black. And I think that's all. I'm going to say width 100% because I'm going to make this a flex box, at least on the UL tag. So style display flex, flex flow column gap. I'm just going to say about 10 pixels. And yeah, I think that's good enough. Like I'll keep the list styles on there. So yeah, we should be good. So yeah, that should be enough styling and HTML here. So yeah, now we have our home page. And if we go ahead and well, now we'll need to connect our blog to our actual app. So let's do that. Blog and make migrations. We're going to make migrations and migrate all in one command. So you just add the double ampersand and you can use more than one command at a time. So Python manage.py migrate, or make migrations and migrate. So it's going to do them both. And then we're going to run the server and let's see what we got. All right, so we should have our, oh, right, I didn't connect the URLs, so let's do that really quickly as well. Path to nothing. I'm going to say include blog.urls, which I haven't imported yet. So include there. Let's go to our blog, urls.py. I'm going to say from Django.urls import path. Let's make our URL pattern. URL patterns. Since we only have one view, boom, path, nothing there. Views, oops, views.home. We're going to import that from our views from .import views and give it a name of home. So our home is basically our blog list page. There's a lot of ways you could write it, but since we only have one page, that is the home page. Cool. So yeah, with all of that, that should have us pretty well set up for this whole project here. Let's close that. Manage.py run server. Let's just see if the page loads and see if our app is currently working. So I'm going to open this. All right, so all posts is here. So our page is up and running. I'm going to create another terminal, which you can do right here in VS Code. If you have your terminal open, you can just click this little guy, split terminal, and that will make another one. So here, it's already logged into our virtual environment. So now I'm going to say Python manage.py create super user. Username, I'll just say Zach for now. Email address we don't need. Password, I'm going to use Django123, Django123, which is just my default dummy password for these kind of projects. And yeah, let's see. So now we have our super user. Let's go back to our site. Let's go to the admin. Gonna log in, Zach Django123. And let's create a blog post. So that's here. We added that to the admin. Let's go ahead and add one. Title, let's just say my first post, lorem ipsum, do you know the way? All right, cool. So that's our first post, and we'll add two. My second post, this is the most dank post you've ever read. Nice. All right, cool beans. So we have two posts. Let's see if that worked on the front end. Yeah, so we have two. My first post, some lorem ipsum, do you know the way? My second post, this is the most dank post you've ever read. So our app is working. And that's the first section. So that's as far as building the Django project goes. We're just going to have this for now. Okay, so now let's get into how to actually set this up on Heroku. So the first thing that you're going to need that I already have on my computer is the Heroku CLI. So to find that, you're going to type in your browser, Heroku CLI. You're going to find this link that says the Heroku CLI from devcenter.heroku.com. It's going to take us to the site under this download and install heading. You'll see how to install it on your system. If you're on Windows, most likely you're going to be using the 64-bit installer. Mac, you'll need Homebrew. And Ubuntu, I couldn't really tell you how this works, but that's how you do it. So awesome. So you're going to install that. And once you'll know that it's working when you're able to say Heroku in your command line, and it gives you a list of these apps. You may have to reset your VS Code if you get if it's not working. So literally close your window and reopen it, and you should see it. You can also open your command line or terminal. On Windows, you can just press the Windows key and type in CMD, and you'll find it. And you can say Heroku here. And if it's working here but not working on Heroku, then if it's working on your command line and not working in VS Code, then you just need to reset VS Code and open your terminal again. So yeah, that's how that'll work. Now, so now that we have all of this, we're going to need to import a few packages. So let's do that. We're going to need some of these. So we're going to need, the first one, of course, is going to be Django on Heroku. Now, Heroku tells you to use one called Django Heroku, but this one is actually outdated. And if you're on Mac, it's going to be a nightmare to try to fix. And there's an article that tells you to use Django on Heroku, but you really have to dig for it, and it's not the most obvious. So yeah, you're going to want this package and not just Django Heroku. So Django on Heroku is the one that you want. Trust me on this, and if you don't trust me, just try it out. So on Windows, you might not have a problem, but on Mac, you 100% will, unless they updated it, which I don't think they did. So let's see. So pip installed Django on Heroku. We're also going to need Gunicorn. We're going to need a package called python.env, one called python decouple. Both of these just make our lives a lot easier. And we're also going to add Django, Django extensions. This is just, personally, I use this for, in our case, it's going to be to generate the secret key, generate a new one. So we're going to have all of these. And I believe that is everything. So, yeah, okay, yeah. So I'm only going to install these for now. And there will be a point when I install one more for our static files. But I want to show you that when we find the error. So I'll show you what happens if you don't add some kind of a way to process those in production, and yeah, how to do how to get that working. Oh, actually, it's already installed, but you'll see because we have to set a few things up. So let's get started here. So the first thing, now that we have all of these packages installed, is we're going to want to pip, we're going to say pip freeze requirements.txt. That's going to take all of the installed packages in our current virtual environment and put them all in a single file. So Heroku will know which versions of this software or of these packages that it needs in order for our app to run correctly. So yeah, that's a pretty simple command. If you just say pip freeze in the terminal, it'll show you the same thing, just with this little greater than sign. It puts it inside of a whatever kind of file you define. So yeah, it takes the output of pip freeze and shoves it in there. Now, Heroku by default will try to use the pip file first whenever we try to push there. So we're also going to create a .getignore, which is a good practice in general. So we're going to create this. We're going to manually add the pip file, and we're going to add more here, but I don't always remember all the stuff like that I need to add here. So I like to go to this amazing website called getignore.io, which I think, yeah, so now it's run under TopTal, or I guess they either bought it or maybe it was always here. I'm not 100% sure. But on this website, we're just going to type in Django in the search bar that is here as soon as you go to this page, create, and it's going to give us this source that is just a bunch of a lot of the stuff that's commonly used that you don't want to have in your like production environments or anywhere in your Git repository for Heroku projects. So yeah, we're going to copy that. We're going to go here. I'm going to say paste that all below the pip file. We can even move the pip file. I think there was a specific section. Let's see, venv. Yeah, environments. So I'm going to add this here as well. So yeah, so that's here. Let's see. For Heroku, we're going to need, I think, 2 other files. So we're going to need a proc file. This is just going to define a few commands that are going to run whenever we're actually running our project. So here, or whenever we push to Heroku. So we're going to say Python manage.py migrate, because we already created our migration files, but we need to actually migrate to the Heroku database once we push our changes. And so we're going to add a double ampersand here, and we're going to say, I believe it's Gunicorn. Here, wait, let me look at my other project super duper quickly. Let's see, websites, go to my, oops, nope, wrong button. Right click here, open with VS Code. All right, ba-da-bum. Well, okay. All right, so yeah, we're gonna say Gunicorn config.wsgi. And the reason that it's Gunicorn config.wsgi is because I called the file that's holding our settings config, and it's finding the WSGI file, which is right here. So if it's called something else, like if it's called my super duper cool app, you're gonna write my super duper cool app.wsgi. And that's gonna be what you put right here. Yeah, and that's all you need in this one. You can add more stuff. It's just like you can kind of research this one more. It's not the most simple concept to explain, but this is what you're going to want to have, something that does represent this. The other one that you're going to want is a runtimes.txt, or it might be run. No, it's runtime.txt. So my bad. Runtime.txt, and this is just going to contain the Python version that you want your app to run on. Now, Heroku's documentation here is interesting. So I'm going to show you how to get there and how to find these runtimes that you can use with Heroku. So we're going to go to the Heroku website. So Heroku Python runtimes. The first link you're going to see is specifying a runtime in Python. You're going to click that. And yeah, so it tells you like how to select the runtime and like what's needed. You need a runtime.txt file, blah, 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 blah. But it doesn't give you the list on this page, which I think is a really weird design choice. So like you're gonna have to scroll to the bottom where it finally says supported runtime versions. Click on this one. And yeah, so like, yeah, Heroku Python support, recognizing a Python app. And then, yeah, you're going to want to go to this specifying a Python version. And here you'll find the ones that you can use. So we can just copy this. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm just going to copy the latest one because I do want it to run on 3.10.1. And let's go back to our app. So I'm just going to paste this like that. Yeah, I believe that's all of these type of files that we need. So now we're going to change up our settings quite a bit here. So the best way, I'm going to show you how I typically build this because there are a few ways, like you can build it all in a single file, but I have found it much easier to do it in separate files or separate settings files to manage your local and production environments. So let me show you how I do that. The first thing we're going to do is create a settings folder. I'm going to move our current settings file into here. So put that there. I will need to, wait, let me cancel this server that's running. Also, I don't think we need 2 of these anymore. So I'm going to close that window or that other terminal. I'm going to rename this file to, this is going to be base.py. So these are our base settings. I'm going to create an init.py. I'm going to also create a dev.py, and I'm going to create a prod.py. So we have these files. Now we can take a few things from our base.py. I'm going to grab all of these 3 settings here. Let's see if I can do. Let's just grab these and get rid of those. Boom. And we're not completely getting rid of them. We're just getting rid of them and moving them to our other files. And they're going to be completely different. So let's see. Both of these dev and production files are going to say from.base import start. So we want all of the settings and variables in this base.py file to be inside of our dev. So while this normally isn't like a great Python practice in general, we will do it here because this is the only way for it to work from my understanding. So same in here, from.base import star. In our dev settings, we're going to say secret key. Normally, like the secret key on the development environment, from my understanding, doesn't seem to matter that much. So you can just put like ABC or some arbitrary secret key here. It doesn't really matter. Like it's just for local. So yeah, not really a lot of security risks unless your computer is compromised. And but your database is probably online, so it shouldn't be an issue. Yeah, we're gonna have debug mode set to true because on development you want that to be the case. And with allowed hosts, we're going to set this to all, just like that. Because you want to be able to access it from any URL on your local host. So let's see, in production it's slightly different. Here we're actually going to be using our Python decouple package, and we're also going to be using our Django on Heroku package as well. So we're going to import those, import Django on Heroku. We're going to say from decouple, import config. We're going to set our secret key secret key equals config secret key. And this is a pretty easy way to have like to be able to set your secret key on Heroku. So it goes into your environment variable and on your server. So on Heroku, it has its own config variables or environment variables there that I'll show you pretty soon. And you can also, what this allows us to do is if you need to have some kind of environment variable that you need for your project on local, and you want to use this in like say dev, for example, you can add a .env file in your main directory, the one that has manage.py, and you can go ahead and add something here. So like if I wanted secret key equals like hello Bob, or I don't know, something random, some kind of a secret key, or we could even make one down here now that, well, okay, yeah. So I got off track. So either way, you're able to add environment variables to this .env file, and it's going to treat it. It's going to be able to find it using this config version of this. You can also use OS, and there's some way to do it with that, but it's a bit more complicated, and this one automatically finds the .env files. So yeah, you're in good hands with that one. So in production, debug, of course, is going to equal false, and allowed hosts is going to equal the actual names of the websites that you're working on. So, or that you want your site to be named. So because we have a Heroku app, we're going to want, it has a specific URL that we're going to use. So for example, I'm going to call this like Zach P blog, basic blog .heroku app.com. And if you have like your own domain, like you could say like Zach P, I don't know, .blog or whatever. So that's how you're going to do that. So this could be like, it's your website.com, however you want to access it eventually, whenever you have your domain set up. So yeah, that is, that's not everything, but we're going to set this up after a few more things on the base file. So inside of our installed apps, we did install Django extensions, so I'm going to add that here. And with that, which is what I was going to show you a few minutes ago, is once we have this installed, we can use this command, python manage.py generate secret key, and it'll generate, oh wait, python, oh, okay, so I know why this didn't work. So the reason that it gave us this issue currently is because we moved our settings file from this app with the WSGI, our main URLs and ASGI, into our into another folder. So in our manage.py, it looks for this inside of here. So we're going to need to change our where we find our settings, our default settings, which we want to be our development settings. In this file, the WSGI and ASGI. So in manage.py, WSGI, ASGI. So let's go ahead and change that. Currently it's in config.settings. So our main project folder .settings, and we need to change this to one level deeper. So config.settings.dev for local. So all of these you want to be the local. And we're going to set all of these to set the Django settings module to production in our Heroku environment in just a few minutes. So config dev. So that's cool. Let's go to our, yeah, so I think that should have fixed it. Also, because we went a level down, our base directory actually changed. So we have to make sure we add this part, otherwise it will be in the wrong folder. So our base directory is now, so parent 1 is settings, parent 2 is config, and parent 3 is our actual project folder. So make sure you update this as well, otherwise you may have some issues. So let's fix this now. So now now that we're actually targeting our correct settings, we should be able to say Python manage.py generate secret key. And boom, yeah, so it actually worked. So let's grab this. You don't have to do this part, like this isn't necessary. I'm just showing you that it does create the secret key. And actually, you know what? We're not even going to add this .env file. That was just for me to show you that that is something you can do at some point if you want. Now, let's go over to, so we set that up. In our main settings, we will need a few things here as well. So we're going to need the following: import DJ database URL. So this came from the Django on Heroku pip install, I believe. And it automatically, it kind of automatically finds the right settings for our Heroku database that we're going to be able to access. So Heroku will come with a free database, and we're going to set that up here as well. So we're going to have that one, and we're also going to have from .env import load.env and find.env. This is needed for our DJ database URL, otherwise it won't work exactly how we want it. So I'll show you what I mean. So for this part, we're going to need to, let's see. Let me just looking at my other project here. All right, yeah. So on this part, we're going to change this a bit. So we're not going to have this default engine name, blah, blah, blah anymore here. What we're going to do is say databases default. We're going to say, set the value for default to DJ database URL dot config. We're going to set a default of SQLite. Yeah, so the default's going to be our SQLite 3 server. So SQLite db.SQLite 3. And this makes it to where the default value is going to be like the normal SQLite 3 database that comes with like that's basically built by default into Django. And you're going to be able to access that on local, while in production, it's going to be slightly different. So you'll see why. And then there's two more settings that I couldn't tell you exactly what they do, but I have had them here, and I think I got it from the tutorials that I learned this from. So yeah, you can add these. You can test what happens if you don't. Up to you. But yeah, these are the ones that I typically use in all of my projects, so you can do that as well. Now, we will need to run these two functions, load.env, and there's a convenience function of find.env. So these are going to find this is going to load the environment variables, and this is going to find them. I think specifically this finds a .env file if you have it, but it might also find the environment variables in general as well. So yeah, that is, I believe that's all we need initially. Yeah, so that should be good here. We're also going to add a static root. So static root equals static files base dir / static files, just like this. And that should be all the settings that we need for Heroku that have to do with our project. So we're going to go ahead and do our commit now. So we're going to say git add everything, git commit -m, initial commit. And yeah, I think that should be good. Django extensions, Django on Heroku, Gunnicorn. Be sure to remember this one because it's kind of the least memorable because you don't actually write code with it. Python decouple, python.env, and yeah, white noise is installed, and we'll get to that in a minute. So we have that. Now that you have this, you're going to need a Heroku account, of course. And once you do, you're going to say Heroku apps create, type this in your command line or terminal, and you're going to say, basically, you're going to write the name of the app that you want to create. So I'm going to call this Zach P basic blog. And as you can see, it's going ahead and creating it. Now, at this point, you may get some kind of not something similar to an error, and it'll say like invalid credentials, and it's going to ask you to log in to your Heroku account. So with this, it'll kind of guide you, like it'll open your browser and you'll be able to do it there. Just go ahead and follow your instructions, enter your information, and you will end up in the right spot. So yeah, that should be pretty good. And after that, you will have your app. And if you may need to run it again if you do have to log in. So that will be a step. Now, this did two things. So this did create this project in your Heroku, like your Heroku profile or account. And if we say get remote, it also created a remote for us. So a get remote. So normally you would say like get push origin master or something like that, which it means you're going to push your master branch from your Git repository to your like GitHub repository or whatever. But we're going to say get, yeah, as soon as we push, we're going to say get push Heroku master instead of origin, and it's going to push our code up to Heroku, our current configuration up to Heroku. So I believe that's all we actually need to do at this moment. Oh, nope, I missed one thing. So we will also need our free database from Heroku Setup beforehand. So I'm going to say Heroku add-ons create. Okay, so we'll actually find this command together. So I'm going to say, let's see, Heroku free Postgres database. So this is how you find it. Heroku free Postgres database if you ever forget the command like I just did. So we're going to go here, look somewhere on this page. Yeah, so right here, Heroku add-ons create, Heroku Postgres QL, and we're going to use the hobby dev plan, which is the free one. So you won't have to pay with this one specifically. So we're going to copy that. Let's go to our app once again. I'm just going to paste this now. So paste Heroku add-ons create Heroku Postgres QL colon hobby dev, and we're going to press enter. Nice. Yeah, so that was created. Yeah, we will also need to set our environment variables on our Heroku app. So I'm going to show you two ways of doing this. So for the first one, we're actually going to update or create a new secret key. So the same as we did before, we're going to use the Django extensions app to say Python manage.py generate secret key. We're going to copy this. We're going to go to our Heroku. So we're going to go here, and give me just a second. I'll go to the project. So Heroku.com. So, all right, yeah. So I'm in my blog here. I'm going to say settings, and right here on our settings page, we have app information first and then config vars. So config variables are your environment variables, basically. Since we created our Postgres database, it automatically created this one now. So database URL and Postgres, it created like a path to it basically. And that's what that DJ database URL package was for. So it's going to find this URL, use this environment variable, and pull that information and get all the stuff it needs for our specific database. Now, we can add other ones here. So we're going to add our secret key. I'm going to paste the one that we just generated. So this long string. And yeah, that's going to be right there. Now, we are going to add one more. So we're going to go back to our project, and the same way how in our manage.py file, we set this to config settings.dev. So we set the Django settings module, this default to config settings dev. What we want to do is say Heroku config set, and we're going to set the one on Heroku to target the production file. So Django settings module, set that equals to config.settings.prod, and this is how you do it on command line. Whenever you set these, you don't use any quotes or anything around these values. You just write them like normal, and it's gonna kind of assume that it's a string. So yeah, you can set it like this. We're gonna go ahead and save or press enter. So it said that. And the last thing that I just remembered that I did forget earlier is in production. We didn't use this yet, so let's do that now. So here, I have another project that I'm also using, or that I've done before, open. So let's go down here. I normally write this Heroku settings. We're going to say Django on Heroku dot settings locals, which I couldn't tell you what that actually is at the moment. And we're also going to set static files to false, which I don't even know if this works, but I did see a tutorial there. I might have to test it out soon again, but this command is actually going to be mostly necessary from my understanding. So we're going to say delete default options SSL mode. I know this did cause a really annoying error that was hard to fix. And it's something to do with Heroku's Postgres database. It might just be Postgres databases in general, but I think it's that specific one. So if you don't add this, you may get an error. You can test it if you want. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe now that thing was also fixed. But yeah, I do recommend having this. And I think if you run into some weird like database or some weird issue, this might be the cause. So yeah, that should be that. We're gonna add another thing that you may or may not have already experienced if you have had a project on Heroku before. So I'm gonna paste these. So yeah, so there's a command debug propagate exceptions. You're gonna want to set this to true. And also, and this actually, so the important one here is actually the logging. I'm not sure whether or not we 100% need this one, but I typically have this in the same thing. So I think this has worked before, but if not, we're going to use this. So you will need this logging code, and it's pretty big. So I'm going to leave the screen here for just a second so you can kind of pause it and like copy it if you need to. I'll move it up a little in case that YouTube bar is in the way. So yeah, you're going to want this code because by default, Heroku's logs don't automatically show you like Django errors if there's a problem whenever you're pushing your code up to Heroku. So you won't be able to see like if there was some problem, what actually caused it. And this is the only way I was able to fix it. I've been using it in my projects ever since because like it was such a nightmare. It took me literal days to set this up just for one website. So yeah. That was fun. Anyways, yeah, so you're going to want to grab this code and it will make your life a lot easier and you'll be able to see your errors more clearly in your Heroku logs. So with that, we're going to do another commit. So git add git commit -m add Heroku settings to production. We're going to say git push Heroku master. So now we're actually going to be pushing it to GitHub. So now that we have all of our stuff here, we made our commit, we have our git ignore, pip file, requirements, runtime, proc file, and all of our settings and environment variables on Heroku set. We can now run this command. So let's see that. Git push Heroku master. Let's push to Heroku. We may still get errors, so let's be prepared. Yeah, so this is going to go for a little bit. Yep, so it's installing all of the packages. And Wow, so that's actually one of the first times that I've actually done this and not had any errors off immediately. So, wow, that's impressive. Let's see. Yep. So, yep, found the proc file. It's doing all that stuff. And yeah, so now that that succeeded, if you get an error, you may want to check your settings from before, but let's go ahead and run this Heroku open command, and it's going to open this in our browser, open our app, and hopefully there's no errors. So ideally, yeah, so it shows our homepage at this zacpbasicblog.herokuapp.com. Now let's go ahead and add some blog posts so I can, one, I'm going to show you the thing that we didn't add. So it will be very obvious. So let's go to the Django admin section that we know to be so beautiful. Let's go here. And okay, so as we can see, there's no CSS styling. And of course, it's also a new database. That's why our posts aren't there on the homepage. So we also don't have an account to log into this area with. So we're actually going to create our account first, and then we will add the styles. I'm going to log in just so you can see that it works first, and then we'll add the styles. So I'm going to go to our basic blog. I'm going to say, yeah, we're going to say Heroku run bash. So whenever you run this brings us to the Heroku server's kind of like terminal or environment. So it's if you're a Windows user, it's not like command line, it's more like Windows or like Mac's terminal. So we can say ls and see what files are in here, just so you can see. Whenever we're in bash, it's like the same file structure that we have on our local computer, except it's on Heroku's server. So yeah, this is all of our files. We got our blog, config, manage.py, proc file, requirements, runtime, static files. Now we have access to the same commands here because we told it to use Python version 10. So let's go ahead and run this command. We're going to say Python manage.py, create super user. Once again, username. This time I'm going to set it different so you can see that it's different. I'm going to say Zach P, and not use name, user. I don't need email. Django 123, Django 123. Yeah. One note about this area: if you add a file here, like while you're inside of Bash, Heroku has what's called an ephemeral. I think it's like server environment or ephemeral file system, something like that. So, like if you add any extra files besides the ones that you push, or well, I mean, it's mostly that. Like if you try to add like static files or anything like directly from here, it will be gone within like a day or so. Like it might stay for a little while or up until like the next time you push to the server. They have an article about it on their website they can check out, but yeah, that file will not be here. So better to do everything either like you can do database stuff and that sort of thing like through the terminal here, and that will stick, but not just adding files here because that has to be done separately. So yeah, we created our user. Let's go over to our app. Let's just see if we can log in. So Zach P, Django 123, and boom. Yep. So this is the Django admin. Of course, it's not styled. So now we're going to fix that, and I'll show you even where to find how to do so. So we're going to go to our settings. Oops. We'll go to our base settings, and we're going to say, go here, and we're basically just adding white noise to our app. So you need some kind of static file processor beyond our development environment for Django, because it's not made to run on production. So whenever you're working like in production, you actually need some external package in order to do this, because Django does not handle that on in production mode. So we're going to go to the white noise docs. Of course, white noise Django. You can just type in white noise Django. You'll find the white noise.evans.io which is their official site. You can scroll down past installation. So it's already installed once you have Django, so you don't need to run this. And yeah, quick start for Django apps. We're just literally going to copy this. Notice that it says it has this white noise middleware, and it tells you right below middleware security. So let's copy this. Copy. Go to our website here. I'm gonna paste that. Whoops, not there. Let's go down a level. Paste that here. Yeah, so we're gonna add that here, and then there should be one more. Yeah, so static file storage. Gonna add that on this one. And if you don't want this to also work for, if you don't want it to be the same in your development environment, you may have to only put it in production if you want that, but I'm not 100% sure. I think you might be fine if you just leave it here, but or leave it in your base file. But yeah, haven't tested that yet, I guess, or at least thought about it when I was running it. So yeah, so we'll add this. I like to put it next to my other static file stuff. So boom, boom, boom. So we have that. And yep, that should be good. Let's go ahead and exit our Heroku bash. We're going to do this again. So git add. Now we're back at like our normal terminal. So git add there, git commit -m, add white noise for production static files. Yeah, that's a good enough commit. And we're gonna git push. Git push Heroku master. And that's gonna go once more. Yeah. And at this point, so this should, like, if any of your static files aren't working, this is likely why. Like whether it's in your admin section or just on your project, this is probably the reason. So let's get that going. In static files, of course, if you don't already know, or like CSS, JavaScript, things like that, not your Django templates, because it's fond of those. So if we actually, I'll run that command again just so you can remember it. Heroku open. Boom, opens up our browser, goes to our site, all posts. Let's check out the admin and see if this worked. Admin, boom. Alrighty, blog posts. So yeah, all of our styling's back. And I did log in before, that's why I just logged us in, just the styles were missing. So yep, let's add one. My first Heroku post. This is awesome. Thanks, Zach. Yeah, smiley face. All right, boom. Perfect. Let's add another one. Another one. This is the way. Perfect. Something red. Gotta represent Uganda Knuckles here. And save. Nice. Oh, well, the heart turned white, but good enough. Knuckles is red and white. All right, so if you view the site and boom. So yeah, it worked. That's pretty much it. So the whole project is up and running. That's the whole process that I typically go through when I'm setting up a site on Heroku, which I do quite often because Heroku is far simpler than a lot of other solutions I've tried. So yeah, that is the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you got a lot of value out of it. And if you like my content, of course, subscribe and do all the other stuff that YouTubers say. So that is it. Yep. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again. And yeah, it's a long outro. All right, I'll work on that. All right, bye for now.